name is Robert, and here is Susan. Woo! Uh, when we were last talking, you're right. You saw the wheels turning. They're right because I just reread my favorite author, Stephen King, one of his shorts that it's called. Ooh, it's not The Man in Black. Well, maybe it was. At any rate, it's a short that he felt was fairly pedestrian. He knew what he wanted to do. He was paying homage to a story that he really loved. It's a story of a devil appearing before a young child, and it's not that he didn't like the story, but he's written so many. He's like, yeah, it was fine. Well, that story went out and won award after award, things that he wasn't known for. Known especially at this point as more of kind of a schlock writer, this, that, and the other. But it kind of kicked off a period where people said, maybe he's more than what we thought he was, because
Interesting.
he was well paid as the horror writer of the 70s and 80s, but people
Mm-hmm.
started to recognize, wait a minute, there's real talent in here. He's
Yeah.
saying more than this. And in this short, what I love that he does, he's so generous. At the end of it, he in the collection, it's Everything's Eventual, it's the name of the collection. He writes, this is proof of why the content creators, are the worst judge of that which way that they create. We
Uh,
don't, right?
uh,
And
uh,
that's why we put it out there. And
yeah.
that's
And
the
so what do you do in our cinema therapy classes? You have us put it out there for each other. And in doing so, we talk about this in improv, and then it kind of gets applied in cinema therapy. The concept, which I did not understand this language for several years, Robert, I promise you, a safe and brave space. You say that all the time. And when you would say a safe and brave space, I'd think, brave doesn't fit in there. I don't get that. I don't get how, what is safe? How can you create, how can space be brave? So
Mhm.
I have pondered that for several years. And the truth is, nothing can really be guaranteed to be safe, right? There's always vulnerability in some way. So, what happens in the world, and I think was it Brene Brown who first used the expression of a to dare greatly and have
Yeah,
a safe
vulnerability,
and brave
courage, all that.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, dare, yeah. Um, is an environment's created, a world is created. We create a world which week to week in cinema therapy we learn we there it really does become a community. There's a level of trust and really caring, I mean, even about the characters that we're reading about, as well as the individual people we know who are writing those stories. We care, and when you're the recipient of that care, it somehow bolsters you to get past that insecurity or vulnerability.
Yeah, that's right. Because the brave part is facing that vulnerability is courage, because I think what we're taught is that vulnerability is weakness, is something to be hidden or
Yeah,
protected.
yeah, yeah.
And when you can wear vulnerability, neither as a trumpet nor as a pit, right, of despair, but as a part. It's just a part of who you are, and go, yeah, this thing hurts. I'm telling you, it hurts, and that I'm going to stand here in that space fully. Wow, that gives opportunity for a person hearing it well to say, okay, I hear you, and if I did something to cause it, I can correct that, or I could, perhaps, if I wasn't part of it, I could help support your process of going through it, whatever that is. I think it's a pathway toward compassion, you know being brave, because just a safe space, you're right, can become very saccharine. And it can be like, this is it, everybody, we're here. And I think that leads to a lot of people's frustration with what are called safe spaces, because they go, it's not the real world. And I think, frankly, it's right. Safe and
Mhm.
brave allows for the truth to come in, like you said.
Yeah.
Safe is in quotes, brave is in all bold.
Brave is in like vulnerable, but in the sense, and in the sense that we're using that vulnerability. We're uh, it becomes a reality, a platform of some sort for us to stand on and build from. And so I think back to you and Jimmy Choi. I pictured Jimmy Choi up on that stage with all those big plates in that backpack and do those push-ups and stuff. You keep adding more weight and stuff. And sometimes when you say to me in my writing, you're it's I'm kind of gentle. I kind of have this, I think I'm predisposed toward um, the rainbows and the butterflies, and it took me a while. I almost wish everybody could take cinema therapy like 3 times, because it took me that long to. Part of it's getting over your own stuff, and part of it's then maybe you can understand why you need to have conflict, why you need to have someone die, something terrible happen, because it feels so foreign to me to do that.
I think if, this is the power, like you say, of not just taking multiple, but really learning at least the template and then applying it to your favorite films. And, people will say, oh, I love that film. And then it's like, well, did you realize this happens in there? Oh, yeah, that does kind of set things off when the mother gets murdered in the first scene. And that's the movie goes, but it wouldn't have worked had that tragedy not been put in place, that kind of thing. And so there's a reason why those are stakes from a storytelling standpoint.
They
If
are, yeah.
everything is unicorns and butterflies, we eventually go, why am I watching this? Feel real, right?
Yes,
No matter how nice.
yes, and the safe comes in there somehow.
Agreed. That something that's all unicorns and butterflies is just safe. When unicorns and butterflies have a dragon and we don't know if it's going to eat them or breathe fire on them or become their friend, now we have Brave. Are they going to hang in with the dragon to figure out who it is or risk being roasted by it? You know,
Yes, it does breathe fire, and those butterfly wings are pretty fragile.
that's very well said. Yeah.
So we have our friend Diane from our first 2 cinema, well, day 1 programs, who wrote in her essay about being visible and vulnerable, and it became a underpinning for everything, to teach me why I had to at least try,
Mm.
because both of those things are hard. If you're a little timid, being visible about it is asking a lot, right? And then if you're insecure, inexperienced, whatever, then you're vulnerable on top of that. That's a lot. That's a big, heavy lift, unless there's a game that's an improv game that you you're just surrounded and supported in knowing that whatever you say is the right thing. God, that's so empowering, Robert. It's just huge.
So once again, that's couched in unconditional positive regard, Carl Rogers, right? And this is where, improv and storytelling, when they're only seen for their entertainment purposes, and I love them for that, people don't recognize how much more there is to them. And this is frankly the conceit of the program. We're trying to draw that line very clearly to say, we're not just pulling this out of nowhere. We're taking well-known theories and principles and applying and saying, this is storytelling, this is improv. They actually work in this domain, giving you a whole nother level of applicability and appreciation and frankly utility for these interventions.
And then it carries out into my life, into the world beyond cinema therapy.
Yes, and it.
Yes, we do it all the time. And I agree with you about movies, you know, someone will say that's my favorite movie, and I'm already kind of going through the steps of the hero's journey. Can't help it. You kind of get programmed that way. You can't.
We're
So
over time, my friend. You got something for us going forward?
I have a few more quotes I'd like to
Well,
share.
then
Oh,
let's come on back. I'll see you in a minute.
yeah, my